Hello everyone, Arvind here again with some knowledge sharing session with couple of decades of service in the IT industry. So I'll be sharing some details about the unidirectional networks. So this is going to be a eye-opening for many of you. I'm not going to talk about any one of the companies that are doing here. I'm going to just describe the way it works and how it can be used, and some use case scenarios so that you can understand how it is. I'm not going to talk about much of technical jargons here. The reason being is technical jargons can be left to the technical guys, but this is for a overall understanding of the unidirectional network, or it is called as diode network. Okay, so let's go ahead and explore what it looks like. As for the introduction, diode is something that we have seen in electronics, okay, which basically converts the alternating current into direct current. Okay, so that is what, and the reverse flow of the current cannot happen in a diode function. Okay, so we just take this concept of reverse current cannot flow through a diode. So what we take that, and then we have used that term as diode for data diode. Okay, for a unidirectional data flow. Okay, so basically what happens is here you have the data flowing from this location to this location. Okay, so but the data cannot go back. So the data diode will stop it from happening. So why is this thing developed? It is basically because to create more secured environment. One example for a secured environment would be you take logs, okay, and you want to put it into a different location where it should not be disturbed. Just in case of compromise, you can go and check the logs. So in that case, if these are the equipment that are working, so I will send the logs to this system which will store it and keep it. Okay, but it will not have a reverse direction. That means I can send, but I cannot manipulate the data here. Okay, if you want to manipulate the data, you should have a reverse direction connection. So you cannot see the data once it is sent. It will be stored here. So this is what is the possibly the easiest exam or easiest method of understanding this. Okay, this is what it does. Okay, so let's see the next slide. So a unidirectional, as I said, it's called diode. It is used for networking. Okay, it is used for networking where data is allowed to flow only in one direction. Okay, so by doing that, it creates a lot of security advantages. Okay, so let's see. So why data security is important? Okay, safeguarding information. Okay, the entire digital life cycle that is there from creation to deletion. Okay, so you have to be highly secured about it. Okay, so when you create the data, you have to securely create it. When when you want to manipulate the data, you have to manipulate the data for the need depending on what it is. Then even when you want to delete the data, you have to be highly secured because we don't want the data to be going to some unwanted people. Okay, so that way what happens is data security plays a major role. Why you should play? So it could be your photos. Okay, it could be your certificates, it could be your banking details, it could be your credit card. All these things are all data. So you have to safeguard all this information. So it is data. These are all nothing but information. So you need to safeguard them. And where do you have it? It is a combination. Sometimes you have it in a USB drive, sometimes you in a hard disk, external hard disk, sometimes in cloud storage. You don't know where you have, and you have lots of such data that is kept into this thing. And especially when it comes to organization and individuals' data, it becomes more worrisome to safeguard this data. Okay, and there are rules that the governments have laid in different conditions. Sometimes governments have laid, sometimes private agencies also give you rules and regulations to follow. Okay, it's something like When I used to go for consulting for a pharmaceutical company, and they have given me so many rules and regulations to sign up, to follow, non-disclosure, and GDPR, awareness of GDPR. They trained me on HIPAA, and those things are all they trained it. Okay, so then I had to follow all these rules and regulations for that particular company. So in fact, I had to write an exam to pass, to even to test their systems. Okay, so that's how it is. It's not too. I'm not talking about this thing that happened ages back. I was just I'm in the industry for 30 years, and I was asked to write the exam. I wrote it because before I go and test the system. So that's how the compliance are. The companies will give you compliance. Sometimes they follow HIPAA rules. Some follow GDPR. So depending on which continent, which country there, the rules might change. But generally speaking, everybody talks about GDPR, HIPAA, okay, PCI DSS. So this is for the credit card and those legal standard, data transfer standard. So these are all requirements that you need to follow for securities. So, so going forward, okay. So what is the problem? If you don't do, if you don't follow that, you will end up into some financial damages. Okay, it might create some financial. For example, I have seen couple of breaches that has happened in couple of companies, and production was stopped. Some company, the entire office came to standstill, and some took a week, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months to recover. And in fact, the impact of 1 week or 2 months or whatever it is being felt almost like 1 year. Okay, and recovery of that lost revenue takes even longer. Okay, so whatever damage has happened, it takes even longer. So that's how this financial problem will come. People might hide behind the scene saying that there's no such issues, but every time there is a breach, you always have a huge financial problems. Sometimes what happens is you might have to pay for ransomware. You might end up paying for the security experts to come and help you out. You might pay up to the ransom guy itself to recover the key from him. Okay, then you might have to lock all the systems that are there in a secure place so that certain or some agency approves that the data is safe to use, or your own team has to certify that the data is safe to use. So depending on that, there is a lot of financial damages that happens to that. Okay, so this is something that it cannot be ignored. It is actually very high, but we don't see it because it happens in different bits and pieces, and the amount actually works out to a huge loss. The company takes, some of the companies can never recover and they close down. Okay, so there is a financial damage which you have to be absolutely careful. It's something like you have a bank account and somebody steals from the bank amount, the amount is gone. By the time they recover, and if you can get it, God bless you. If it is not recovered, then you know what is the problem. Okay, and during the recovery period, 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, you still have to suffer through the pain of not having funds in hand. Okay, so this is what happens. So financial loss is very high. So this is very important point when it comes to data security. Okay, so that's why the government says don't give the PIN number to anybody, don't give the password to anybody, keep complicated password. All these are part of the security measure that we have to. These are very simple things that we have to follow. You don't have to give your ideas to somebody, your IDs to somebody else. But we, out of laziness or basing on super trust, we give the details, and you land into trouble. Okay, so preservation of reputation also is very, it goes down. Okay, so what happens is the moment you know you are compromised, nobody is going to trust you anymore. Okay, the moment you heard a bank is compromised, everybody will withdraw the funds from there. Then they will never try to put the amount back into that bank. So same thing happens with personal reputation. Somebody loses the personal reputation, like even individuals. Okay, when we see individual, so he's working in a company and he lets down the organization for whatever reason it is, and the reputation is lost. Once the reputation is lost, you never can trust that person again. Okay, you might work with that person, but you will never trust it. Same is the case with it. So reputation is of high importance, very high importance. Okay, so if you lose the reputation, that's the end of it. Then gaining competitive edge. So once you have the security of data and other things, so you are good in that. Okay. So what happens is when you are good, if you maintain the basic security measures and you keep yourself, what happens is your business is safe. So what happens is you are competitive in the business. Yes, imagine your system is not running for 1 month for whatever reason, and you got a breach and you have a problem, and that means your competitiveness in that business is gone. Okay, so by the time somebody will take up the opportunity and he will try to kill you and you will try to come up. So this is what will happen. Okay, even this is supposing if there is a government order and defense order, for example, you have, and you doing it, and in between there is a breach. The governments are very clear in the defense deal that there should be no breach, no security, there is no data loss and all those things. So when such a thing happens, what do you think? You think government is going to keep, or the defense is going to keep quiet? They're going to put a hefty fine on you and they're going to stop giving you orders. Okay. So that is that. At a final word, it's like security is very, very important, whether you like it or not. If you want to be safe, you have to be secure, and data security you have to take care. It is not like the other securities that we are talking about. It is it is like a do or die. Okay, that is the situation. This data security should be looked into. Okay, so in India also there is a lot of compliance requirement. Okay, there is a personal data protection bill which is being coming up in the lower and upper parliament all. So it at any point of time it may, once it gets approved, then those things we will have to follow. So you cannot store somebody else data just like that. No, things like all those things will come. So certain is one company, which is one agency within the government of India, which basically responds to the breaches. Okay, in NIC I have seen number of time they give you awareness. They send you notice saying that this is what we have seen in your system. This is what we are seeing. Okay, but there's challenges that our IT guys in the company are might not even know how to look into these challenges. Okay, so you might have to look into the IT guys' capability to handle this. Cyber Regulation Appeal Tribunal. So this is another agency. Security Exchange. This is for your CB. We always see it in the newspapers. Insurance. For insurance there is one. So Cyber Surakshat Bharat. So this is again one more initiative by the Modi government to do it. So appointment of Chief Information Officer. This is now it is becoming not only security officer who does the physical. Now, data security officer is becoming very important. So these are certain things that's happening in India. I just wanted to bring it into your notice because in India there is a lot of emphasis on all these things, especially after the Modi government coming up, and you can expect, and they are all very good initiatives. So in fact you have a cyber breach or something like that. There are sites where you can just call up and give them the information, or you can write to them and they respond. So there are beautiful. You just have to Google it and it is there. So that way, India has come up a long way in the cyber security protection rules and other things, all which is being handled by Government of India. Okay. So that does not mean that we as individuals should not care. Whatever the government is trying to do, we also have to be secured. Okay, we have to be secured. So let's get into the subject. What is unidirectional network? So unidirectional is also known as data diode. We have seen the picture. Okay, it is a secure device. It's a physical device that allows data to flow in only one direction. Okay, preventing potential inbound sound. So what happens is, whenever there is a cyber attack, what happens is they come inside. Okay, somehow they breach and they come inside. They break open the firewall. Or they break open some application gets installed and they come inside. Once they come inside, and then they send the data back to the their whoever has the so what do you call initiator. It goes to them, and that's how they create a circuit and they start breaching your network. That's how it begins. So in this case, what happens is it is one way. The return path is not there. So even if he breaks and comes inside, he does not know how to go back. It is pretty typically like Abhimanyu circle in Mahabharata. So you go inside, but you cannot come out. Okay. So this is how it is done. So this is what happened. Initially, what happened was it was done for raw data. Okay, a hardware and a software. The software is used for the bidirectional communication at the ends. Okay, but hardware is used for the physically unidirectional data that it has to pass. So there nowadays what has happened is now they also have modified, they have encrypted data passing through that single light that is passing through that through the diode. So a lot of modifications have happened, but there is always a air gap that is created. So you can go inside, but you cannot come back. That's how the model is designed. They are equipped with it's something like you have a immigration counter. Okay, you go into the immigration counter, you can't come out. Okay, if you come out again, you have to go through the process to go inside. So you cannot. You have to come out through a different way. Something like that. What the data diode does. Once you go inside with the data, you have to process it there and get out from there and do whatever you want. If you want to come back again, you have to come out through a different immigration counter and then process it and then. So that's how. That's a. But that's a visualization that you should have. Okay, it is like one way. It is there is no two way. You can't go through the same immigration counter and come back through the immigration. You have to go through one immigration, come out from the another immigration counter. Okay, so that's the rule. So there are a lot of features that are there, which highly secured sites use it. Government, banks, or oil and gas, industries, factories. They all will manufacturing, aviation industries. All these people they use this kind of technology and they use this unidirectional. So evolved from only it basically started from personally from a network appliance. Okay, allowing data to travel in one direction. Used to guaranteed information security. Guaranteed the information security passing through that. Okay, so hardwares were used for unidirectional. Because they don't care about what data is going inside. They don't open the packet. They don't do anything. Just the data is passed through the hardware, one hardware. It does not understand anything that is there inside the data. It just ensures that data flows in one direction. The return data is not given. Okay, so that is what its job. Okay, so you'll be wondering how, where, and when this. So how does the data travel? How does it allow? So basically, if you look at it, if you basically look at it, if the data is coming from this area, okay, it's not visible, so let me put a brighter one. Okay, if the data is coming from this area, it will go. Okay, but the return is not allowed. Okay, the return is not allowed. So whatever equipment that are on this side cannot communicate back to this. So this will be the outside world from where the data will come and will go. But from here to this data cannot come. Okay, so the data cannot flow from here to here, but it can always flow from here to here. That is the representation here. Okay, so basically hardware is used to do that. Okay, usually a light is used, which is called as optical thing. So where it's like fiber optics, so they will send you through that one way. There is no receiving capability for it. Okay, so okay, that is the whole idea. Okay. So what's the difference? How do you differentiate between firewall and this? Firewall is basically unidirectional. Okay, the data will go here as well as come back here. Okay, so both ways it will work. So data will go this way as well as go this way, depending on what it is, what the request. This is firewall. So is this secured from other things like many of the breaches? No, does not help you to give you 100% security. Why not 100% security? Because there is a two-way friend. So once he creates a tunnel for himself to talk between this area and this area. If hacker is able to establish, then the communication, firewall will allow the communication to pass through. Okay, and from here he will go to the other systems that are there in the subsystems that are there in the network, and he will do the same thing here and here and here. Okay, then he can breach the system. That's how this ransomware attack and all those things happen. Okay, anything, they will put a Trojan, or somebody will they'll send a mail, and in the mail they'll click one link, and that will install some issues, and that data will go back to him. That's how they create it. Or they will say you have this DNS, so in the DNS they will send the data. Okay, in the DNS they will send the data. Okay, so things like this all happen. When it comes to this area, what happens is you have a set of systems here. Okay, you have a set of systems here. Okay, the breacher will try to attack you, so he will be able to, even if he is able to reach here. Okay, there's no way he can go back, because there is no track for him to go back. Okay, this is absolutely not there. Okay, this is not there. So what will happen is, he will not be able, since he will not be able to get, he will not be able to even find out if the data has, if somebody has clicked the link. Only when somebody is clicked the link, he can install, right? Even if he is installed, the data cannot go back, where there is no path here. That way, this network becomes highly secure. Okay, so that's the idea behind it. Okay, so data use. So that is a highly secured, when it comes to critically highly secured setting, that one-way data is what we use for the cyber, to avoid leakages and cyber attacks. So particularly scenario, it's what you call in military applications, nuclear power plant. Okay, in saving the logs, some monitoring facilities that we give. Okay, so it's like imagine we have logs. Okay, imagine we have windmills. Okay, we have windmill. That is because I am getting windmill as an option, because I worked on a project, so I'm taking that. So windmill. So there will be SCADA data there. There will be SCADA data in there. So this SCADA data tells how much windmill has been using, how much power it was generated, all those things. Okay, all the data. So this has to be stored in a database. Okay. So there will be local DB also, where it will be stored. Okay, then it has to get sent to a centralized place, where it has to process with various other windmills that are there, to calculate the overall details. So when we do this, so what this one scenario is, you can put a data diode here. Okay, if you put a data diode here, okay, if you put a data diode, okay, let's call it DD, data diode. If I put it here, then what happens? This data can come here. Okay, essentially hundreds of such windmills will be there. They will send the data. Okay, but they cannot access the data return. So it is like one way. Okay, this database can be used for all the processing and other things. Okay, and this data, whatever we do it, we can give it in a different format, to be again seen by the general public, or back to this whoever owns it, so he can see this data here. So basically, this data that is there, even if it is compromised, will not affect this. Okay, there is no way this is going to have a backtrack to that. Okay, and whatever comes in comes through a different channel. Okay, to have a view. Like, we take the data, we process it, probably on a browser we will display this. So he can use a browser and see, but there is no way he can come back to this data. Okay, that way we secure this data. Okay, this is one scenario. Okay, so we can do this thing for even for a factory also. Okay. So working unidirectional and bidirectional. So why I am again saying that working unidirectional is like one way. Okay, there will be a transmitter and there will be a receiver. That's the end. Okay. Unlike the bidirectional, you will have a transmitter as well as a receiver, and both the things will be, there will be one more transmitter here. Okay, I forgot to put here. There will be one more transmitter here and one more receiver here. Okay. Okay, Rx and TX. Okay, this will be TX, this will be Rx. Okay, this will be there. So there will be again there will be transmitter and receiver. So they will be keeping on doing that. Okay, they'll be changing it. So data will be moving between that. So this is bidirectional. In our case, it is unidirectional. Data will only transmit and be received. So this is a simple diagrammatic representation of the unidirectional network. Okay. So this data is unsecured. Okay, and this is secure data. So this is within your office. Okay, okay, within your office. You say your military processing area, or your what you call say your factory's office area. Okay, where you have all this data getting accumulated and you process it. Okay, so and this is from the outside world when the data comes. Okay, so when the outside comes, it comes to the data diode and comes here and processes. Imagine you have one factory here. Okay, you have a lot of automation going on in the factory. Okay, IoTs and other things. So you have a data diode here, and you can connect. This can send the data here. Okay, essentially what you're doing is you will not be able to reach this from here. Okay, but from the factory's equipment you will be able to send the data for processing, and from here you will be able to process the data and display the data in the form of browser or inside in a form of CVS, and whatever format you have you can send it. Okay, so that way essentially what you're doing is, even though the factory's automation is working here, it is sending, it's able to send the data. Okay, nothing can go back. Okay, in normal scenario what they will do, they will divide this, they completely they'll keep this thing as a separate network at all. Full factory automation will be a separate network, fully network at all. So then what will happen is they will use USB drives, things like that to transfer the data, which again is the breach of data or something gets infected is very high. Okay, normal it happens. I have seen many things breach and they don't have a choice. They just delete it, reinstall the application, they use it. Okay, so it definitely happens. So that in this case that could be a good model where you can avoid the use, even a use of the USB data. You can, because you can only send the data from here to here, but you cannot receive it back. So that way you are making your factory environment completely, there is an air gap where you can send but cannot receive anything. So that way you secure the applications in the factory environment. Okay? That is one more scenario. I hope you're understanding. If you're not able to understand or not able to follow, just comment it in the bottom so I will explain you what it is. Okay. So role of send and receiver. In the unidirectional network, or the data diode that they talk about, there is a receiver. Okay, plays a pivotal role. Okay, send and receive. Okay, in that case for everything. Okay, so in the traditional one you have a send, receive, and again you can receive it back when the other side sends. In unidirectional there is nothing called as the send receive. It is only send from one side, receive from the other end. Okay, so the network also has to be designed like that. Okay, you have different hardwares available in the market which can do the job simply without any big major challenges. Okay, it in unidirection what they have done is intentionally disabled. The return path is intentionally disabled. So but there are some softwares that are there built in certain things to emulate the bidirectional communication, because some applications will expect a reply. Okay, because that's how they are written. So the softwares will replicate that and they will give you the data, but there will be no physical communication. It will tell you that it has received the data and it will. Sometimes what will happen is we will have a database, and in one case what we will have is you might have a database. Okay, in one case you might have a database. You will have a database here. Okay, for example, you will have a database here and you will have a data device here. Okay, you will have a data device here. The data will go here. They will again replicate in a different database here. but there is no return path here. From here to here, there is no return path. So it will be replicated. This will be used by the application. Okay, this data will be used by application. So that way what happens is whatever data that is here is sent here, but nothing happens to it. So this data we are not bothered because this is the filtered data that is there. We process it. Even if something is modified here, we are not bothered because this data is the modified and cleared data. So we use only this, and the application user, and the application in return will take a different path to send the data back. Okay, in the form of browser, in the form of CVS, in the form of Excel. It will send the data in different format for the user to use it. So that way this database will be highly secured and safe to use. In fact, this will be open to the others where they will be pumping in or putting in the data. Okay, but once it crosses the data diode, the data will not come up. At the same time, this will be filtered data. Okay, that will then they will use it. So this is highly reliable data, and chances of getting a breach, this data getting breached is almost next to zero. Okay, because if there is a data diode here, you might put a data diode here also. Okay, you might put a data diode here. So once you put a data diode here, the one that is being processed, there is no way it can come here. So this data happens to be absolutely safe. Okay, so that is how you have to, because there is only here it is sender, here it is receiver, again here it will be transmission, again here it will be receiver. So but there is no return path. That way it is, that way we make it safe. So one scenario that what that will happen is, for example, when you're taking when you're going for immigration. Okay, so you have a passport check. So your passport probably will be checked by the immigration department of various worlds that are there, and worldwide there are so many immigration office. So when they connect it, they might connect it to the they will request the data of the passport to a centralized server. So it will go to the centralized server. Okay, it's something like this. Something like that. Let me continue with this. Okay. So the passport immigration office will this will be the immigration office, for example. You ask for the passport details, the passport PP details. It goes to the server. Okay, and this there will be a data diode here. Okay. Okay, there will be a data diode here, and it will go. The request will go here. Okay, the moment the request goes here, it will identify what the data is. So it will send back the request to the immigration office through a different channel. Okay, probably there will be one more application here, not the same. The requester is different. There will be one more application, application 2, application 1. So this application will display the results. Okay, whatever it is the result, it denied, whatever it is approved, whatever it is the display, this will display here. So that way we have a two different channel. Then no way this database is going to be compromised. Okay, this is for a immigration kind of a scenario. Okay, so in generally what happens is all the applications that are there, okay, in all the network thing, you have bi-directional. Okay, you have bi-directional. So the hardware that are there, they will be expecting the return flow bi-directional data. So in that case, whatever, and the link failure when it is there, no. So that is, now if you have to disable this in case of this when we are using this diode. If you don't disable this link failure, then what happens is there are loops that will be created and your network will not work because there is expectation that the return data will come. Okay, so you have to disable this, and then because many companies have got different mechanism. Cisco has got its own mechanism, and the other like Dell has got its own mechanism. So every company has got its own mechanism. So you have to disable this for it to function because there is only one flow. Bi-directional is what you will get this link failure. Okay, there is one more interesting question. So what if the link fails? If one of the device fails? Okay, if one of the data diode fails and the whole thing comes to a standstill? No, there is a HA available for this. Okay, there is a HA model available for this. Okay, there will be a HA, so it will be working. So normally data will flow through this and this. If one fails, the data will flow through the other. So there is a hardware capability available today, but return data is not possible even in this model. Okay, this is not it. So this is just a from here you will connect it. Okay, it will be protected to one of the devices. Okay, and it will be replicated for people to use it. I think the earlier example I have given you for use it. So that way you can secure that application. So defense, where the you have missiles going up, you have a lot of communication that's happening, secured communication. So that is where even the defense manufacturing setup that they are doing, because all those places, this is what would be a good equipment to think about using it. Okay, industrial control, see, because a lot of these industries have got equipments, right, like SCADA, PLCs, and those data all can be secured because it's only one way. Because factories might, because that's the reason that factory offices and factories are normally kept in a separate network. The reason being is to ensure that there no data go, there is always a aircraft, and this is where they use USBs and get into trouble. Okay, this happens. Okay, then industrial control systems, that is what I have said. Oil and gas, so here also a lot of places they use it because they can play havoc in gas and other things. All people, we have seen how one of the blast in the Ukraine war, okay, that gas was disturbed and the price went up, Russia was blamed. Okay, those stories all happened. Okay, such things all can be avoided if the data is kept secured. Okay, so that creates problem. So imagine somebody gets into your power grid, okay, and stops it, or does something nonsense with the coding, and the entire grid comes to a standstill and the entire country is without power. So things like this has happened, will happen, and to avoid such things, data diode works out very beautifully in this particular scenario. Aviation absolutely necessary in this thing because flight, when you're talking about, it's a very serious business and a lot of data happens, a lot of passengers are flowing through that, and given the conditions today, you have internet given in the aircraft itself. You can access that, given Elon Musk the internet through the sky, through the space. That also creates a lot of problems. So if you want to give, if you want to give internet to the local passengers who are there without disturbing the network of the flight, what you can do is you can use data diode. So it will be one way flow for this thing. Okay, so they cannot come back. They cannot come into the aircraft instrumentation. So the data diode can be used in such scenarios. Obviously, for manufacturing, I already have given you one or two examples. Similarly, the oil industries, gas industries, in almost every network device that you think about, data diode can be a possible solution when you talk about critical data getting saved. Okay, so let's conclude within a short thing. So it has evolved over a period of time from a basic requirement for single PC to today's requirement. So you get equipments from 1 Gbps to 40 Gbps and more, depending on what is the bandwidth requirement you have. There are various companies that are providing it. There are various protocols that are being developed and given for various scenarios. So it is up to the requirement. You have to analyze. After the analysis, we have to pick up the right device and then you have to use it. So sometimes it will be overkill. So you might have to think about it because some of the equipments sometimes work out expensive, some of them not so expensive. So depending on what is the usage, what is the bandwidth, and that's what you have to see and use it. Because normally if you look at it, then many of the companies, they don't use too much of bandwidth, like 1 Gbps is what average company we can see max using in today's date. So 1 Gbps will not be so expensive when you talk about data diode. So you have to think about it, and then but it helps you to run the business safely. So that is how you have to look at it. Okay, initially very simple device were used for the raw data transfer, but nowadays all security protocols, lot of security issues are all have come up, and they have modified it and they have made it much more secure. Okay, now it has become a bit more from only hardware to hardware plus software combinations have come, because many applications always require bi-directional communication. So the softwares help you to emulate the bi-directional communication so that the application can run smoothly without any issues. Okay, so they can now, the data diode that has come, the modern equipment, they can send multiple protocols nowadays. So if you rest assured, it does not require IP or something like that to try. It just creates air gap. It just transfer whatever it gets from the other end, it can transfer to the other end. So you have to, it does not require a special IP to communicate all. Okay, so when you're looking at security, so you have to look at some of the security requirements that are there, which this equipments comply to. Okay, there are a couple of compliance which they follow. Okay, generally speaking, they're very safe because there is nothing they do with the data. They just take the data, then they pass it on. So to see if the compliance is followed, you can follow up to a couple of certificates that these companies have, and you can see. Okay, so that is what is. So if you have any other scenarios that you want to discuss, or you want me to explain, do let me know, because it's an interesting topic, but not many people are aware. So hope it helps you. If you have any technical details that you want, do let me know. I'll try to help you out as much as possible. Thank you. Have a great day.